See the top here?
Where to go? Oh, my food. I forgot my food. Pussycats knocking stuff over. $15 out there.
Scott's going out there in a cold car with shorts. Better than that.
Pretty soon we'll be into the hot cold cycle anyway.
You start sweating on the way home. What's your?
It's freezing 1 second, sweating the next.
If the car breaks down, I got tools.
Yeah, all kinds of tools.
Who's gonna work on it? Shut this fucking door.
I didn't shut the door.
Habit.
Up.
When's the next snowstorm?
Tonight?
Oh yeah.
30 inches.
An inch, I think. Maybe half an inch. Maybe a dusting. Not that much to worry about, really. A hell of a lot better than what they said we were going to get. I'm not looking forward to that. What the hell's going on with this bag? Damn it. This bag's still. Alrighty. Yep.
Pretty much tell Scott will be here next week. Watch The Walking Dead tomorrow.
Oh no, I'll wait.
I'm ready to go to bed.
All right, boys.
All right, Mike. Till next time. Till The Walking Dead. Okay. Let's not slip on the wet floor. That would be bad. Carrying all this food. Be all over the place. Crunchy, 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 crunchy. Should we look for Dracula on the way home?
You watching any of that Curse of Oak Island?
I've seen one episode of it. I'll wait until they have the whole thing. Well, nothing spectacular. Obviously, nothing earth-shattering because
you would have heard about it.
Yeah, it would have been on every newspaper and television show in the country.
But they got to be finding not artifacts, but I'm sure they're finding something, right?
I don't know. I'll wait till the whole season's done and I'll watch it all at once. So this stupid wait until next week for the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
John Wayne, I heard, dumped all kind of money in that.
No, he never had anything to do with it.
Well, that's what they said on the.
In the show, that they named the people who were the last guy to be digging there from like the 40s.
Well,
and 50s.
no, John Wayne didn't actually dig there, but I heard he was funding.
Oh, he might have been an investor. That's probably a lot of people.
Yeah, an
but,
investor, and then Roosevelt too.
Yeah, it was a novelty thing for a while.
Yeah, I heard people. I said there was a lot of money dumped into. And then these guys own like what, half the island now?
No, they own the rights
Oh,
to the dig site. So
I thought they bought up like half.
they didn't buy the island. The island's a big place, and a lot of people live there. So
That's what I mean. They bought like. So I thought somebody sold, and they bought like bought up half the property or something. When did they get that curl of gold out of there, out of the drill?
oh, that was like 90 years, 100 years ago.
Shit.
The real thing, the real treasure of Oak Island is the island itself. It's the amazing engineering that went into
Making
the
booby
whole
trap.
thing. Yeah, considering how far back in the past it was done, and that we know absolutely nothing about who did it. It's a huge undertaking. This wasn't some little, let's dig a hole over here in the island and bury this treasure chest. No, this was a gigantic undertaking involving hundreds of
And an
people.
elaborate.
An elaborately and very, very well engineered design that has withstood the test of time, even into the modern era. Somebody put a lot of thought into that.
They found coconut fibers
Yes, they did.
that were like ancient, like
Yeah.
from a couple, 300-400 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Which tells you something was afoot on that island. They put
Sure.
something there.
There's something there that people, theories about what is there range from religious artifacts of great historical value,
Templar's gold.
Templar gold, yes, that's another possibility, to some sort of, I don't believe pirate treasure, only because the pirates would not have had the sophistication for that level of engineering. And pirates, they didn't tend to store long term. They stole and they spent. They whored, they drank, they gambled with wild abandon, and when it was all gone, they went out and pirated some more. That's what the pirates did. They may have temporarily stashed, when they had no more room on the ship, stashed some gold on shore and little spade here and there, wherever, but they didn't, leave a lot of buried treasure behind because they just fucking spent it like crazy. The real pirate treasure would have ended up with the owners of the gambling houses, the merchants who sold the rum, the pimps. That's who would have ended up with most of the gold. But the Templars, yeah, they're a real possibility there. Their gold's never really been recovered that we know of, most of it anyway.
There was that rock that disappeared, it was like this big or something,
Oh, well.
with the carvings on
Yeah.
it.
It's like souvenir hunters for that one, but, there's any number of others that could have done it. But now the Templars would have had the sophistication. Now the only question is, the time of the Templars was the 13th century. Would they have been able to make an ocean crossing
Well,
of that nature at that time?
they dated that coconut hairs to, they found tons of it, and it dated to about that time.
The 13th century?
Yeah.
Because they said it dated more like the 16th century, but so
Oh, they said it was older.
which was
than that.
long after. But the thing of it is that at the time of the Templars, well, America had yet to be discovered, for one thing. It wouldn't be discovered yet for another couple hundred years, but they also didn't really have the seafaring technology for crossing an ocean. Especially with the amount of ships and people it would have taken for that kind of undertaking, and then get back again, and then keep it a secret. We're talking about hundreds of people. How did they keep it secret?
First, you got to dig the hole.
Well, they sculpted an entire bay. They carved out a whole fucking bay and then filled it in again. Made an artificial lagoon. A lot of work. Years, probably. And there is no historical record anywhere of this undertaking. We're talking about something like making the fucking pyramids here, and or a small pyramid anyway, and where's the record? Nobody survived out of all of those people to come back and leave some story behind as to this, mysterious journey far into the, the other side of the world.
No bedtime stories, no records, no
nothing in a religious text or
no rumors.
yeah, especially over such a long period of time. And they have yet to recover artifacts that really point to who, built it. You've got to figure these people must have been on that island for a long time. Okay, where are their artifacts? Must have left something behind, tools, bones, whatever.
Well, they did find some tools and bones. They did.
Yeah, some of that, but they don't know what period they might be from. Because the people have been digging this treasure for so fucking long, and a lot of them have died. It's hard to say.
Well, they said, 7 people have to die before it...
I don't know. A lot. Something's down there. I mean, this level of endeavor wasn't done to protect nothing.
Oh, so they went to great lengths.
So whatever is down there, the only thing I can think of that would inspire this level of undertaking like that?
Security.
No, not mere money. This is done for religious artifact. This is a religious endeavor. This isn't done just for money. This was done to protect something of a religious nature. My guess, the Ark of the Covenant, maybe the Chalice of Christ. Something really important that the Templars were rumored to have been in possession of.
Well, if they found a curl of gold, what happened to it?
It's in a museum somewhere.
Huh. How come they didn't bring that up? I've seen the first few episodes. How come they weren't...
Because they don't have possession of it.
Oh.
Or it could be something far older than the Templars. Maybe this is Viking, Roman.
That's another thing they said.
Probably not Viking because they weren't known for that kind of construction. Romans were, but the Romans were not, huge seafaring type people across the oceans. The Phoenicians were, but that would be way older than they suspect this digging is. This is not Blackbeard the Pirate or some shit like that. It's just not the kind of thing they would go to, even if they had the knowledge and the manpower and the time to do it and the ability to keep it secret. Pirates were not good at keeping secrets. They got drunk, they blabbed everything. Couldn't even keep secret the fact they were pirates when they were in the king's lands and shit.
I like Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
You're a... What did he say? You're a very poor pirate or a very bad pirate?
Something like that. I don't remember, but he was a caricature of a pirate. The real pirates were a different breed altogether.
You're a very poor, very bad pilot, but you have heard of me, though.
Yeah. And this was not done by a government. This wasn't the French government, the Spanish government, the English government, because they would have no need for such a thing like that. If they had riches of that nature, it'd be in the Tower of London, it'd be in the Great Imperial Palace at wherever the Spanish had it, over there, or wherever in Portugal or something, with the king. It wouldn't be hidden on an island somewhere far on the other side of the world.
Who had the technology? The knights?
Yeah, definitely. The knights were a religious order of monks. They weren't... Yes, they were fighters. Their order really only was supposed to fight to protect the pilgrims in the Holy Land.
What about the Freemasons, or is that part of them?
The Freemasons are a different organization altogether. They were not...
I thought they derived from that, or they were in cahoots with them.
No, unlikely. For one thing, they were a little bit later on than the Templars. The Templars derived from the Crusades. They were actually formed in the Holy Land during the Crusades to protect pilgrims making the pilgrimage to the Holy Land, to Jerusalem, because they were being attacked by bandits, everything else. So the Templar Knights were formed from monks. That's what they were. They were actual priests. They weren't regular knights. Like the Order of the Knights of the Hospitaller, they were tasked with, dealing with the sick and the injured, while the Templar Knights originally were to protect pilgrims. They fought to protect God's children going to
How
the
come
Holy
the
Land.
French government hunted them down?
Because later on, long after the First Crusade, they became very wealthy in the Holy Land, enormously wealthy, and they started to lend this money. And some very important people became indebted to them in England and France, other places, and especially the French king. And it was decided, we really don't want to pay this money back. Let's get them discredited, called heretics, disbanded, and their power broken. And that's exactly what they did. They were excommunicated. They then, all at once, on Friday the 13th, the powers that be swooped down on them. But they never got their wealth. That much we know from history, that their wealth was never actually recovered.
Oh, the French never got all this.
No, nobody, not the English, not the French, not the Italians, nobody. Where did their wealth go? Nobody knows.
Well, in the movie, what was it, Nicolas Cage?
Yeah. Yes, that's
they
the
showed
example.
it coming over.
That's an example of what they think they had, small part of it.
The 4 and 5 ships full
Yeah.
of...
And because they were a holy order, they would have the discipline to keep their mouth shut. They were always known for that, for being very tight-knit, closed-mouthed. That was part of the reason why it was so easy to get people to turn against them. Because they started whispering campaigns about devil-worshipping, shit like that. And nobody really knew what they did because they never really spoke about it. Once you entered the holy order of the Knights of the Templar, they was like a vow of silence. You didn't talk about it. What went on behind the closed castle keep gates or whatever was.
I think that's
silent.
what happened when if all that shit got buried at the island, everybody came back, nobody knows nothing.
If they came back, there's no evidence they may not have. For one thing, they would have been under sentence of death, so it's very possible they may have remained there until they died. Natural deaths, or they might have continued on to the mainland to try to tame the savages or whatever, and either were absorbed by the Indian tribes or killed by them. Died in final battle somewhere and left their holy relics hidden on the island. It would have been an absolutely epic journey, and it would change history if it's discovered to be true. And we already know the Vikings made it to America long before Columbus did. It's speculated the Chinese did as well, even before the Vikings, and maybe even the Phoenicians to South America has been theorized. And there's little bits and pieces and clues to point to all of those things. But if the Knights of the Temple made it to the New World that early, hundreds of years before Columbus, it knocks Columbus right off his pedestal, that's for sure. Because this is not like, one stray ship getting blown off course. This would be your fucking armada.
Yeah. Carefully choreographed.
A treasure-laden armada with hundreds of knights and provisions and tools, everything they would need to do the kind of undertaking they did on Oak Island. They had the wealth for it, that's for sure. And they were a secret organization, so they could have, had an evacuation plan in effect. They could have seen it. They probably did see it coming. Almost certainly did, most of them. And while some remained behind in Europe, sacrificing themselves, and all that shit, some of the order were tasked with protecting the holy relics.
Which were never recovered.
No.
Or the gold or money or whatever.
We don't really know what they had. They kept that secret. We know that they were excavating in Jerusalem. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
In places where it is theorized that the ancient, Hebrew and early Christian kings and the Romans had hidden a lot of things. And it is speculated that they did find some of these massive treasures hidden there. Excavating under the old Temple Mount and all that shit. And what they think they may have had are the most holy relics of all Christendom, which would be the Ark of the Covenant and the Chalice of Christ. And possibly other things. The Holy Grail.
Or some gold statue of somebody, they said.
I'm sure they had plenty of items that were gold, just of decorative nature or whatever. Just plain wealth, that kind of thing. But the real treasure would have been the holy relics. Possibly the true cross, the remains of the true cross, the real spear that pierced the side of Christ, things like that. Things that a holy order would lay down their lives to protect, basically. because I really can't see anybody else going to that much effort. You know, that's a religious kind of effort.
They were saying stones on the island had these type of markings.
Yes, they had encrypted markings, things like that. Very sophisticated shit. And besides which, people hiding plain wealth are not going to want to go through that much work to get it back. At some point, they're going to want to spend that money on something, somewhere, you know, and they're going to want to come get it. And they're not going to get killed while they're doing it or have to spend years, you know, dragging it out of pits in the ground.
Well, they find like, what do you call stones in the shape of a big cross.
Yes, they did. That was one of the clues. Yes,
And
they
then
did.
actual stones had crosses carved in them.
Yeah. Again, you know, I forget how the whole name of the Templar Knights went. The poor pilgrims of the... I forget. It's a fascinating story, the Knights of the Temple. I mean, it really is, the Templar Knights. I mean, they raised religious fanaticism to a level, you know, kind of unheard of today in the Christian religion. You want that level of fanaticism today, you're going to have to look at the Muslims. Because these guys, you know, they were suicide squads in many cases in battle and everything else.
Well, that's who Dracula was killing, right?
Templar Knights now.
No,
Oh, Vlad Tepes, the real person?
Yeah.
Yes, he was. He was defending what is now Romania against, you know, the Islamic hordes pouring in from the east.
how many is estimated that he slaughtered?
Thousands, tens of thousands. He was successful because they were scared shitless of him. He was successful in much the same way that Stalin ended up being successful in repulsing the Nazis from Russia by sheer brutality. You know, if I win on the battlefield, I'm not just going to slaughter my enemies. I'm going to slaughter any of my own side that broke and ran at the critical moment. You know. And he was definitely of the camp, you know, of, you know, you either support me 100% or fuck you, you're the enemy. I'm kind of surprised the Vatican hasn't underwritten some of that, or maybe they have in secret. You know, somebody's missing a headlight.
Good reason to get pulled over. My headlights are working.
Yeah. Because they have to suspect what might be down there.
I know something's down there. Something significant.
Oh, there is something down there, but I mean the nature of what it probably is. They should be able to recognize it if nobody else does. I mean,
But I mean, if you got a big curl of gold out of there from a drill bit, then obviously something's down there.
well, the very nature of the entire thing is such that it's only something that someone would do to protect something of immense value.
Going to those, what length?
Nobody
great length.
spends years of their life toiling away at this incredibly complex works that's lasted this long, you know? Safeguards on top of safeguards, booby traps to booby traps for nothing. And this is not some elaborate joke, because this also cost somebody an immense amount of money to do.
And there's no record of the
Yeah.
joke.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
just how did
Yeah.
they know? How did somebody know to dig back there years ago? Even back then.
Chance, pure chance. Some kids saw something sticking up out of the ground, yanked on it. It was a piece of wood. They started digging to see what was there, and they found some matted fibers, then some planking, and then more boards. The digging got deeper and deeper and deeper, and they realized this was some kind of that something was going on there. You know, they started forming companies to keep digging deeper and ever deeper.
Until it filled with water.
Well, they hit the booby trap, and that they tripped the booby trap. Booby trap still working, possibly 400 years later. You know, that's pretty impressive. That any mechanical device of any kind would be working that long.
Even if it's planks and boards.
Oh, it was probably stone. got a stone trapdoor blocking a water passage. When they dug too deep, they released the pressure on the stone, popped open the passage,
Boom.
and boom, the water came into the pit.
Killed who was ever down there.
Yep. Exactly as it was intended to do. You don't do that unless you're really trying to protect something far more important than mere money.
Than a box of gold coins or
Yeah,
something.
that's nothing. You want to hide a box of gold coins? A hole in the ground will do that. Then you come back a couple years later and dig it up and take it away. It's something you would bury yourself, so there's no witnesses to come help you dig it up. You
Yeah,
know?
it's out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
They could have done that anywhere in Europe.
Yep, they could have. One day they'll get to the bottom of it eventually. Technology improves all the time. And when they do get in there, I suspect what they find will probably change history.
Yeah, because the TV series is on TV. I didn't hear nothing in the news, so they didn't find nothing.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily that we will know if they do. We see the TV show after it's gone to production, been wrapped up, and it's done
Cut,
deal.
edited.
Yes. If they really do hit the big time, and it's of such enormous cultural importance, then we may not hear about it right away. Because this could involve multiple governments in different countries. It could involve various religious orders that might have claimed to things.
So how do you claim the Ark of the Covenant?
Wow, I don't know. That would technically belong to the whole world. Would it be handled by the United Nations? Would it be handled by the Catholic Church? Who would then say, well, Moses was Jewish, he was not, Catholic. So would it then go to Jerusalem? I don't know. Then that would be, see the complexity of a question like that? That would take years to answer and work out. Because everybody would be fighting for the possession of it. And then you have the plain-ass crazies who think it has some great mystical power that if they have it, they'll rule the world, like Hitler with the various things he was looking for, I
thought the Ark was down there in South America. That's what I thought.
Nobody knows where it is, but South America is pretty unlikely. For one thing, it disappeared in the Middle East around the time of the Crusades, or before that.
Had one special, they traced it to this one place, and then it's supposedly down in South America somewhere, but then who knows?
Yep, nobody knows. There's a lot of treasures of the ancient worlds that's missing.
Well, how much shit got lost in World War II?
A lot of stuff.
Works of art.
Sure. And that will be missing.
And how much shit got burned?
Quite a bit. But most stuff just plain got squirreled away. Taken when nobody was looking.
Only in the 1970s or 80s did a work of art turn up somewhere. And
Oh, works of art are still turning up today. We're still finding shit. You'll see it on the paper every now and then. Some painting turned up here.
it was stolen from the Louvre.
Yeah, some GI's personal collection hanging on the wall of his house, in some retirement community. And nobody knew what it was for fucking 50, 60 years.
And then there's Napoleon's sword that went to Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's a good example right there.
I remember going over at Pat's dad's house in the 80s there, 85, 86. He was pissed.
Yeah.
God damn, if I ever catch that, he was if I ever catch that fucking son of a bitch. Or
He's very sick, right?
no.
He has stage 4 lung cancer.
Oh, how old is he now?
88, 89, somewhere around there.
When did you first hear that story?
Actually, Pat told us, when was it? 3 weeks ago?
No, about the sword.
In the 80s.
And he said he came back. I said, here. When I said I came back, the guy was gone, disappeared, and he was looking for him for years.
Still looking for him.
Wonder where the sword is now.
Could be the bottom of Oak Island, I don't know.
Yeah.
The real hope here, if it is the Templar treasure, the Templars were suspected of having a lot more than just the relics of Christendom. or just plain money. They were also suspected of having a lot of treasures from the ancient world. From the time of the Romans, even earlier than that, the Greeks. You know, they were collectors of wealth and loot, and they looted the whole Holy Land, everywhere. They might have works of art and literature. And back then, literature was written on clay tablets that would survive the water. Who knows? The possibilities are endless and mind-boggling.
Go down there and find the 10 Commandments or some shit.
Yes, it's very possible. Well, that is what is supposed to be in the Ark of the Covenant. That and the biggest treasure in the history of the world.
Just, yeah.
Rubies and diamonds and emeralds, oh my. Heaps and piles of gold and silver. Fine jewelry of every description. Crown jewels of empires we've never even heard of before. Very likely saw their demise eventually coming and took steps to hide what they had. Protect it. Probably before the order was even disbanded. When they had plenty of time and plenty of money. And everything could be handled in-house.
Perfect. You see that? Perfect timing.
Yeah. Nobody's looking. There you go. Yellow. And then
I don't know if there's cameras. So
red.
okay.
And then green.
Snow for another couple of weeks.
Well, you're going to see some snow this week. I understand there's going to be 2 or 3 different events of freezing rain, snow, sleet, hail, whatever the fuck's happening. Not big totals, but 1, 2, 3 inches. Just enough to make a nuisance of itself. We have enough of a snowpack on the ground now to fuck us up for weeks.
That's what I mean. Give it a, you know. Oh yeah, so the guy called up the guy right after
Kenny.
the phone number.
Yeah.
Kenny, yeah. So I called him up. That must have been Monday or Sunday. When did you call me?
Probably Sunday. I called you. You were supposed to call on Monday.
Yeah. So I called him. I guess whatever, Monday or Sunday. He picked right up, or he called me back, and
It's his cell phone, so he probably picked up right away. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he said, I'm not going over there until Wednesday. I said, oh, okay. So give me a ring, and I said, you know, at the bare minimum, I'll just tell you what the stuff was worth, and if, you know, the price is right, I'll buy it.
Yeah, he's looking to move them.
Right.
So he's a motivated seller. That's what I told you.
Yeah, so I told him, I said, I'll give you an honest, evaluation. And he asked, he said, you clear trains? I says, well, not anymore. I said, we set up a train table, and I was, we were putting all the shit on, and as we were kind of done with that, I have not heard, unless, but I said, I'll tell you what stuff is worth, and maybe I will buy it, And, you can't go up the...
you can, but you won't get far.
So I said, yeah, give me a call, and I'll, where is he? Right in here in town somewhere?
He's over in Kent.
That's right, Kent, yeah. So
He's over by the Kent Police there somewhere.
Yeah, so I said, I'm right over here, and so I'll come right over and take a quick peek at him, and we'll see what we can do. And I never heard from him. So I figured but then this was when the snowstorm was.
Yeah.
So I figured, all right, the snow probably fucked everybody.
I haven't seen him since then either. So
and then the driveway is probably still covered in snow for all I know.
Well, they're at his mother's house. His mother lives there, so obviously the house is not going to be inaccessible for long. But usually I see him on a Saturday. He's one of our regular Saturday guys, but he didn't come in this Saturday, so he might be busy somewhere or doing something. I don't know, but get a hold of him again. And
I'll call him like during the week.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, he's off Monday. That's his day off.
Oh, maybe I'll call tomorrow.
So give him a buzz and see what happens.
Yeah, that way I'll just say just checking in. I'm sure the snow fucked you up and.
Oh, you did us. I mean, look at this shit.
Yeah, fucked everybody up. Everybody and everything.
Yep.